welcome us to Qalam Radio Class this morning. As always, we like to remind us that our focus is education, promotion, entertainment, and these are very broad spectra of materials, content, all of it that will be bringing your way. And in our radio class, we have been looking at certain factors, certain variables that shape education, shape teaching and learning, shape research and development. I am sure we are able to relate all these variables, that the quality, the standard of development that you see outside anywhere is a clear function of the quality of teaching, learning, and research of such a nation. Now we are very proud. We travel out of Nigeria. I've had opportunities to at least I have visited at least 5 countries of the world. I've seen how things work right from the airport, right from when you land. You just know that this is a completely different world. Well, of course, we are not in space. It's still the world we are used to. You see developments physical. You see evidence of technology, of science and technology. You see evidence of finesse in human interpersonal behavior. You see decorum in public places and functions. You see regard. Well, of course, because by reason of skin color, sometimes you cannot but feel out of place. You feel strange. You just know you are a stranger where you are. Or even then, the quality of engagement you have with these people just lets you know that the difference is only at the skin level. They give you, you have dignity for being a human. When you sum up all of these things, it boils down to the quality of teaching, learning, and research. It is the outcomes of all of these things that are plowed back into society, the improvements we see. If there is stagnation, if there is social regression, it is a function of education. So this morning, I will be discussing with you something. I know we mentioned it at some point in the past in the course of looking at some issues relating to education. This time, okay, let me put it this way before I go into it. When you see the product of a training program, you see the product of a training system, education system, the comportment, the carriage, the personality of products of systems. Let me tell you, what you see the people carrying around, the person who well, I will not say it's not puffed up, but is confident that is carrying something of value. And those who do not understand will likely label such an individual as being proud or whatever. It's a function of the package, the training package, the education package that has produced that individual. And sometimes it is reflected in their institutional logos or mottos. Some will say it's for learning and culture. In Auchi Polytechnic, for instance, domiciled in Auchi town in Edo State of Nigeria, the institutional motto is hands and brain for development. Hands and brain for development. You go to other places. I'm a product of University of Ife. It will tell you for learning and culture. I mean, they have those things all over the place. So when you see the product of a training or educational program, and if the program has succeeded in impacting the product, I bet that you will see it reflected in the carriage, in the comportment, in the deportment of the individual. And this factor that is responsible, this factor that has overwhelming influence on the product of a system, is called curriculum. So this morning I'm discussing curriculum, its impact on the quality of a training of an educational system. Recently, I think the last 2 weeks or thereabout, the sitting Minister of Education announced, or caused to be announced, that 15 vocational skills that would take effect in 2025, I beg your pardon, are being incorporated into the learning package of children in primary 1 to JSS 3. That's for 9 years. He made a broad pronouncement that he, under his leadership, that the Ministry of Education is going to take another look at the packaging of learning content for our institutions, and that he will ensure that 80% of learning content is scientific and technical, and only 20% will be literary. Of course, some of us stakeholders are very interested. My interest is how he's going to go about to compartmentalize the program such that only 20% will be reserved for literary based subjects, and 80%, if he's able to do that, will be beautiful. Then we'll be on our way from metamorphosing from a consumerist economy to a production based economy, a truly knowledge driven economy. Now, what are these skills? Very interesting, one of plumbing is one. It has tiling and floor works, POP installation, event decoration and management, bakery, confectionaries, hairstyling, makeup, interior design, GSM repairs, satellite and TV antenna installation and maintenance, CCTV intercom installation and maintenance, solar installation and maintenance, garment making, you can call this anyone, fashion design, anything, tailoring. Then, very interestingly, agriculture and processing, including crop production, beekeeping for honey, horticulture, flowers and all that, sheep, goat rearing, poultry, and many such. And then it says basic digital literacy. This is very interesting. That these skill areas, 15, will be integrated into the curriculum of primary school up to the end of junior secondary. That's for 9 years. Children, it says a child, every pupil, every child must acquire skills in at least 2 of these areas. But of course, some criticisms are beginning to float around. It's the normal nature of people. One of the things somebody up to this morning was saying is that he is opposed to this minister's plan. You are exposing these children to income generating skills too early in life, and that's going to stagnate them. When they finish, a child who at the end of primary education is already good at GSM repairs, for instance, or it's now a makeup. I wonder, primary school 10 years, primary 5, then 6, it's fairly good in makeup artistry. Now that child now is going to be more interested in making money than continuing education. In my village, they say there's no how you grow your physique that will please people. Somebody is going to say that this guy is too tall. It's too tall for a man. Then you go and adjust your height. Somebody said, this one is too short now for a man. How do you command influence? It's too this, it's too that. That is the nature of human beings for us. But I think it's a highly laudable scheme if the minister is able to make this happen. Because some of the things we are told, I don't know, I have not had the opportunity to go to China or South Korea or all those places where we are told that, but we see things online that children are exposed to skill acquisition very early in life. And some of the toys that are shipped over to us, some of the devices that come around us, we are told that these things are designed and produced by children at very low levels of education. They are still growing. So I believe that if government is able to do this, that would be wonderful. But then, that's the issue we are raising this morning. Curriculum. So what is curriculum? Why is federal government through the instrumentality of the Ministry of Education proposing these integrations, these interventions in skill and knowledge acquisition in the training contents of children? I will pause for a while and we'll be back. Now, welcome back to Qalam Radio Class. And this morning we are looking at this curriculum factor and its role in shaping the education of a nation, of a people, and eventually shaping their world, their outlook to life, to innovation, to development. So what is curriculum? There are many definitions. I have about 3 that I will just share with us and we can build on that. It's a document, no doubt. It's a totality of student experiences that occur in an educational process. Totality of student experiences that occur in an educational process. Someone else says it's a planned sequence of instruction. A planned sequence of instruction which incorporates planned interactions of pupils or learners or students with instructional content, materials, resources and processes for evaluation. A planned sequence. Someone else says it is all the learning which is planned and guided by the school. All the learning which is planned and guided by the school, whether it is carried out in groups or individually, inside or outside of school. You find authorities like Tyler, like Kerr, and Nichols, many people, including our revered Professor Babs Fafunwa of blessed memory. They have their definitions, but all of them agree on one thing, that a curriculum is a planned sequence. It's a planned sequence. If you go to any school now, you will see, you ask the teachers. There's timetable. There is a register that they use. Then you have other documents that are derived from a curriculum, so that if it says planned, what someone learns in primary 1 will be different, even though that is supposed to be preparatory, an introduction, a prelude to what will be learned in primary 2. There is provision for transfer of learning from one stage to another, but it is all planned out. It's a planned sequence of instruction. If you have gone through higher education, you will agree, you will see what I'm talking about. And if you live near a school facility, a school compound, whether it's primary or secondary, or even you live near a campus, tertiary education campus, you will see evidence of planned, of intentional, deliberate planning, and it reflects in what people do. Go to any higher institution, for instance, just strolling as a casual observer. Go in as early as 7 and watch. See if you can put yourself at a very advantageous position and watch. You will see students and lecturers moving in different directions. And one thing you will notice about them is that it's not casual walking, brisk, hurrying. Well, I won't say running, but sometimes you do some little jogging to catch up, because there are laws in the place. There are lecturers that tell you that don't let me get into lecture hall before you. If I get there before you, you don't go in. Some of those things are there. We'll be talking about them later, because there are values that children absorb, that they imbibe in the course of their training. But these values are not directly planned for in the curriculum. We'll be talking about them. So for now, curriculum is the totality of a student experiences. What a student experiences, the totality in an educational process. A planned sequence of instruction, incorporating planned interactions of the student, of the learner, with instructional content, materials, resources, and processes of evaluating attainment of such of objectives for which those contents are selected in the first place. I like this one particularly by Kerr, a certain individual named Kerr. He says all the learning which is planned and guided by the school, whether it is carried on in school, in groups or individually, inside or outside of school. That's why a school can undertake an excursion program for students. I remember when we went from maybe 2 or 3, many years ago. The school planned an excursion for us from my little village at Okpela, Isako East in Edo State, Nigeria. We went to Kainji. I don't remember the name, the state in which Kainji was that time. Whether it was northwestern or whatever. But I guess it's now, I think it's Kwara State now. The northern fringes of Kwara State. Jeba, all those. From our little village, we were loaded into one wooden lorry and went up there. And what a time we had. And as we left, now I'm only drawing your attention to something. That all the learning which is planned and guided by the school, whether it is carried on in groups or individually, inside or outside of school, it took many days for the lorry, a Morris lorry, wooden, where passengers used to sit backing where they were going. You'll be looking at where you were coming from. But we enjoyed it. And they asked everybody, get a notebook for yourself. The geography master was along. The literature master was along. And they told us, write down the changes in vegetation that you notice. Where road construction was done, they asked us to identify the strata of soil. We could see the topmost humor, whatever they called it. You saw granite, you saw excavations in rocky areas. Then we took note of rivers, all of those things. So it was planned, and the learning we benefited from was outside of the school, but it was intentionally designed. We paid for it, yes, but we also enjoyed ourselves. Biology. If you ever go to Kainji, Busa, New Busa, and all those places, you will see all kinds of fish. The ones they had told us about in biology. We saw tilapia, full of bones. We saw other kinds of things. Is it tiger now? Is it tiger fish? Many kinds. Roasted fried delicacy. So I challenge you, if you are outside Nigeria, one of these days, why don't you plan your holidays and come down to Nigeria? Just take a trip to New Busa, to Kainji. You will love what you will see there. And I can assure you that government is doing what it can, its best, to contain the things that up blood pressures, insecurity, and all of such things. So I want to encourage you, come down and see what we have there. So now, a curriculum, we have agreed, is a document that contains many things. Essentially, a planned course of interaction. At the end of the day, when the candidate has gone through this, when the conveyor belt is offloading him on the other side, it's now can now address himself or herself as a lawyer. He has studied law for 5 years. Planned year 1, planned year 2, but provision for transfer of learning, carryover, year 3, year 4, year 5. And of course, the higher the progress made, the deeper the engagements with content, with materials, with resource persons, and all of such things. So, in any given package of curriculum, you will see some aspects. They tell you that there is explicit aspect of the curriculum. Explicit. What will this mean? The explicit aspects of a curriculum relate to the subjects, to the courses that are to be taught or that are taught. The kind of knowledge and skills to be acquired. Identified, you see some schools, in fact, by their names, you just know what to expect. And when you see the students and you see their products, you just see the correlation between mission of institution and product of institution. When you just go by the name, so mission school, it could be Christian. So mission school, it could be Islamic. Sometimes from their dressing, you just know. I am a facilitator for National Open University, and sometimes I have to go around and see what some of these students do, where they are. Those of them who are doing master's degree, you go to meet them in their workplace. They call it practicum. I go to see them in their workplace and engage with them. Some are taking qualifications in education at postgraduate level, PGD. Some are first degree. You enter the school and just the atmosphere tells you this is the kind of thing that you expect to find in this place. And when you go to public government schools, you see a change. So explicit aspect of our curriculum refers to such provisions that indicate subjects to be taught. History, government, mathematics, all of them. What kind of knowledge and skills to be acquired. That's explicit. The implicit lesson, part of it, refers to the kind of culture that the school has created for itself. It's not exactly indented in the document, but there's always institutional culture. Well, if you take it outside and you go to business, they talk of organizational culture, which is a function of many things. It's a function of leadership. It's a function of followership. It's a function of the values that are cherished, that are espoused. Sometimes you find in the mission and vision statements of such organizations. The same thing applies to a school system. And they tell you that this is what we represent. The behavior, the attitudes, the expectations that characterize the setting. They say that one is implicit. It is implied. It's not directly quoted. There is no. You will not find on the timetable that the next lesson is on good dressing, responsible dressing. You will find it. But you go to some schools, you see evidence of good dressing. It's a part of the institutional culture, but it is not written down as a study area. So we're talking of implicit. These values derive from the culture they have. Well, if you look at culture, what is culture? Is the way people relate, the values they cherish, the values they share, the obligations, all of those things put together define them, make them different from other people. That's what you will see too. You go to some highbrow institutions, you see the students wear corporate dressing. You have an overcoat, a jacket, there's inner coat, tie. Some of them even have this handkerchief that you hang it on the pocket, the breast pocket of your suit. Corporate. And when you go, you can feel the very positive cultural emissions from such institutions. They are implicit. Then somebody also talks of hidden curriculum. Say hidden curriculum. What could this mean? They say hidden curriculum refers to unintended development of personal values, beliefs of learners and teachers, the communities and all of them. Unintended. It's not planned for, but it happens. For instance, if you go inside South Ibie Kingdom of Isako West, Edo State, Nigeria, you will see these people have a reasonable population of Auchi Polytechnic students living among them. Well, the host communities have a distribution of these students, but because of proximity of South Ibie Kingdom to the institution, just the road that separates them, many students find it so convenient to stroll in across into the campus. If you go in there, over time, a relationship, values, patterns of behavior have been established between students and indigenes of South Ibie Kingdom. And it's so strong that you can live among them. Of course, this practice has spread to other communities. If you are a student and you live in the host community, students will always be students. Somebody says your student, maybe because of your generosity, because of the understanding you have demonstrated. Some of them owe you house rent, and they manage to tide along, and towards the end of the session, your student tenant can disappear without your knowing. And what they do is very simple: disguise. He leaves the curtains in his windows, the curtain on his door is there, the padlock is there, but you will not know that he has moved everything outside. He has moved away without your knowing. Only the curtains are remaining. And so, because of this hidden, now we're talking about unintended development of personal values, which learners and teachers and communities share. There's now a forum in the Polytechnic. They call it Polytechnic Host Community Landlord Association. And what does that forum do? If a student of Auchi Poly is defaulting in rent payment or whatever, has misused facilities in his lodge, accommodation, and runs away, as a landlord, you just stroll over to the school and go and document that case at the Student Affairs Division. And I can assure you, over time, landlords have got redress. Go there. The student will not get his results until he comes to reconcile. His different obligations, to settle his obligations with landlord. That's how it is done. Now we're talking of hidden. These things are not expressed in black and white. There are things which students learn because of the way in which a school is planned and is organized. But these values, these virtues are not expressly stated in any document, nor will they have existed in the mind of the original planners of the document. You will see student-student relationship. Students eventually learn to live well with students. Students learn to live well with, or to live productively with their lecturers and no other non-teaching staff in the institution. Teacher to teacher, school, they now call it town and gown relationship. At the macro level, the institution itself is part of the culture of the community in which it exists. So the town and gown platform provides opportunity for all these operatives to relate together. Now we are talking of different aspects or perspectives on curriculum that you can have explicit, that tells you expressly these are the subjects that we have listed, available here. Then there's implicit, there's hidden, then they say there is excluded part of the curriculum relates to extracurricular engagements that the school facilitates. Remember this author Kerr's definition that all the learning which is planned and guided by the school, whether it is carried on in groups inside or outside of school, so extracurricular, and they are intended to supplement academics. For instance, sporting engagements. I was somewhere last week at Ogbona in Esako, central of Edo State, Nigeria, and I went to see a master's degree National Open University student. His area of specialization is social studies and all of such things, and government history, all of them packaged together. But I met him on the field. Incidentally, he's the sports officer or games master of the school. He was preparing the institution's female soccer team for a competition that was going to hold. I was there on a Tuesday, say on a Friday. When I drove into the place, he wanted to suspend what he was doing so he could go to class and teach. I said, no, do what you are doing. What you are doing right now is a form of teaching. Students are learning under you. So it doesn't have to be within the walls of a classroom for learning to take place. So we're talking of extracurricular sports. I said, go ahead. I just stood by. Thank God there were shade trees around, very cool and breezy, airy. I enjoyed what I saw. Teaching them how to take throw-ins, how to take corner kicks. Say, look, because you are girls, there is no way you will take a corner kick from this distance and you hope it will disturb a goalkeeper. He said instead, when you, and he identified those who will be taking kicks. When you go to take a corner kick, you come and stand like this so that I can pass the corner kick to you and you will shoot it. I loved what I saw. And I said, this is learning. This is excluded. It's not, there is, you won't go to their timetable and see football on the timetable. It's not there. So we're talking of excluded. So you go to school as a student in the university. I was a member of a campus-based student Christian groups. I was a member. It was there I learned, because of my love for music, that's where I learned to play instruments, which I still play till tomorrow. Play guitar very well. I play keyboard. I used to be a drummer, but I don't know whether I can still drum now. But one thing I know with psychomotor skills is that they can weaken, or they hardly disappear. If I get on a drum and sit down there for 30 minutes, I'm going to reawaken. They call them neural. I'm going to reawaken those neural paths again. So social groups, debating and literary and debating groups. They are not reflected in any timetable in the curriculum, but they are observed. They are observed, and they all complement and supplement the things that are done inside the classroom. Now, what are the process? I'm looking at all of this so that when you now hear that you see our children graduate, can you imagine somebody has gone to university, went to polytechnic, 5 years, 4 years, no job, government did not create job. Now listen. This guy has gone to read history. He has a bachelor's degree in history or a bachelor's degree in history and international relations. Let me ask you, what job is this candidate, this student, this graduate, what job is he skilled to do after graduation? Tell me. Think about it. Now you have read geography. Fine. Geography is a very interesting course. Now you are out there, BSc Geography. What are you trained to do? So you can see why there's a high level of unemployment in Nigeria. You trace it back to the curriculum. Just go back there and see why we are where we are. And that's why people are giving kudos to the current Minister of Education, who says from primary school to the end of GSS 3, 15 skill areas have been spelled out, identified. I used to tell people, and I still say it now, if I were a fresh graduate, if it was now I graduated from university, I tell you in my NYSC year, I will go and register at a GSM repair shop. That's what I would do. I bet you. Have you gone there to see the high turnover? You go to fix the earpiece of your phone, and they do it and say 500 naira. You come and say charging port. He fixes it in a jiffy. He fixes it and it tells you 1,000. My screen is doing like this. Go and see the turnover. The turnover is interesting. Really, it would not be the turnover that would have taken me there. It's just that I like technical things. I like fixing things. That's what I would do. So what I'm trying to drive out today now is that the high level of unemployment, and I dare to add this, the high level of unemployability. Sorry about that big word. Unemployability. Some people are unemployable. I'm not saying they are unemployed though. Unemployable by reason of many factors. Blame it on our curriculum. Blame it. And don't forget, curriculum is a planned, structured system of interaction. If we are going to do anything that will impact the labor market and prepare our graduates or products of our school system for immediate engagement, either by employers or they become job creators, is to take another look at the curriculum. What curriculum are we using? Now, federal government has made skill. Go to Auchi Polytechnic now. Just go through the second gate. The second gate now, the Star Quarters gate. You will happen upon a skill hub. Many things are happening in that place. Repairs, mechanical, auto repairs, construction, welding, palm oil production. Let me tell you, hey, Auchi Poly is producing paint, emulsion. Go there and check. And students are involved. Many things that they are doing. Because government says, look, the way things are going now, the trend is not only observable in Nigeria, it's a global trend, my dear. We must take another look at the content that we select and present for our students to engage with. We must do that. Now, what is the process of curriculum development? We go through this very fast. The first thing is diagnosis. Do you not carry out due diligence? Some people say it's needs identification. Let me use this scenario. Now let's see. Maybe Auchi community, for instance. The the leaders sit down and say, come, why is it that we don't have products in engineering, in science, engineering, and medicine? Why is it that we don't have? I'm not saying the Auchi is well endowed in all these areas, but I'm just using it as a local scenario to explain something, to explain the process of curriculum development. Now, and they get to understand that if you are going to have your children become engineers, you are going to have your children become medical people, then it goes back to what happens in the education system in the community. And then you do feasibility, go around, get a committee to look around, and they tell you, look, our schools have no laboratories, science subjects are not being taught, so what they learn, English, literature, history, government, social studies, accounting, business admin, those are the things that are there. You don't run a curriculum that has such explicit subject areas and hope to produce engineers and doctors and nurses. So that's the first step, diagnosis of needs identification, needs analysis. Then the next one, you go and formulate objectives. What are the objectives? That in the next 10 years, we're going to begin, our community will now begin to turn out products that go through school and become mechanical engineer, electrical, every aspect area of engineering, and now begin to produce people in medicine and surgery. Take note. That's the objective. And then you select content. What do we do? You can now do an endowment and call people who are financially endowed in the community. Let's donate. We need to build laboratories in the schools in the Auchi Kingdom, so that students can begin to get exposed to physics, chemistry, biology, and of course mathematics. And as this ground foundation is laid, when you select content, physics, chemistry, biology, further maths, those ones will invariably lead to the next step of selection of learning materials. What learning materials will go with this content that we have identified, that we have listed. Then you are now going to organize the learning experiences. At what point do children begin to get exposed to sciences? SS1 up to GS3, they have broad-based general science, integrated science, they call it, aspects of physics, aspects of chemistry, aspects of biology put together. They say it's integrated. Yes, but by SS1, physics stands out, chemistry stands out, biology stands out, health science stands out. Further maths is carved out of plain mathematics. Then you now organize what will be learnt in SS1, what will be learnt in SS2, what will be learnt in SS3. Once they have this head start, then the child can proceed. If you go to university now, there is something they have also done comprehensive review of curricula used in the university. B max, they call it B, basic. B. In all universities, whether private or public in Nigeria, go and check. That's what they do. Well, of course, there is provision, and they call it is minimum. It's basic and minimum. National Board for Technical Education curricula for polytechnics too is said to be minimal. There is provision to look at the peculiarity. If you look at Auchi Polytechnic now, it's situated in Edo North, where a lot of mineral resources, stone-based mineral resources are found. So if you go there to the school, you will find agric engineering is there, mechanical engineering is there, so what they call the other aspects of engineering that relate to exploration, exploitation, extraction of mineral resources, geology, all of those things, they have them because of the unique location of Auchi Polytechnic. So you now develop courses and put on board for yourself that gives you competitive advantage over others. by reason of your location. And when you have put down together all of these things, the last aspect of curriculum planning is to look at how do you determine that your objectives are being realized. That's determination of the evaluation. How do you know? At the end of the year, you begin to see children make steady, predictable, gradual gains in the areas that you have identified. And in the next many years, you begin to see evidence or evidence of the impact of curriculum on the output in the community. So I am putting it to us that we can blame excuse me, we have blamed government enough. Let's take another look at the curricula that are used in our educational systems. If there are jobless people out there, and some of them that cannot even be employed productively, let's go back and work on our curriculum. We need updating in the light of new developments. Whatever you are teaching in the school system now, if it does not have a basic digital literacy component, you are just priming these people for unemployment. There's nothing, virtually nothing, no job out there right now that does not demand digital literacy. Where I talked to you about literacy here last week. Now digital literacy, marketing, medical diagnosis, name it, accounting, auditing, forensic, everything, even teaching and learning. Now digital literacy is required, and it all goes down to the curriculum. So ladies and gentlemen, dear listeners out there, I want to thank you. As usual, if you have any comments, any issues you wish to raise, you can use the Qalam Radio handles, Instagram, Facebook, all of the handles, and get back to us, and we'll address your concerns too. Thank you so much. I'm excited to know that you are always out there. We hope to see you next time. Thank you for listening.